So, my name is Mike. I am one of the co-founders of Game Influencer. We do influencer marketing for games. It's as simple as that. Today I'm going to present to you the results of a survey we did questioning our network of influencers. I'm going to present some of the key learnings from that. And yeah, just what you can take from that when you want to do your own influencer marketing campaigns in the future. So also, if you haven't done influencer marketing yet, don't worry, we're going to start with the basics before we dive in deep. The first thing you need to understand is we live in a relationship economy. What does that mean? We need to trust the company or person we buy from. So a lot of companies struggle when it comes to getting that trust. If you just have a look over there, that's Game of War doing content on their YouTube channel. They even collaborate with Trade Chat, a YouTuber, but it's not getting the real effect, like 10,000 views, one comment, not that well received, I would say. On the other hand side, you have influencers that get that trust, that have that relationship with their audience. Here we have Amixiem, a big French guy. We worked with him for our friends with Summoner's War. And yeah, as you see, a little bit different the results. So influencer marketing has become a global phenomenon. In a study that Forbes presented last year, 92% of consumers trust an influencer more than they would traditional advertising or in celebrity endorsement. Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Mobile Strike, not as trusted as an influencer playing the game. 47% of consumers these days use ad block technology, meaning traditional digital advertising doesn't even get through. They never get to see your pre-roll, your ad, which has led to $255 million spent monthly on influencer marketing in 2016. The trend is going up. So just a few examples. Seriously, like a very famous example, spent 90% of their marketing budget for Best Fiends on influencer marketing. That turned out very well for them. Scopely worked with influencers to get 4 million downloads for their new Walking Dead game in a week. And our friends at Spill Games worked with us to shoot the game Trollface Quest into the top of the French App Store market from 0 to top 20. In a very small focused campaign. So the question is, why is influencer marketing so potent, basically, so strong? If we compare it to traditional advertising, and we look at a few factors. First of all, motivation. So like traditional digital advertising is something you have to get through to before you get the content you actually want to see. Versus when you influencer content, you actively seek out. So you go on YouTube, you go on Twitch to see that content. So the perception is that traditional digital advertising is an ad or even an intrusion. I don't want it to be there, I want it to go away, I want to skip it. Versus influencer marketing is a recommendation from somebody you regard very highly or even see as a friend or your internet star. And then time is a very, very important factor a lot of people forget. Like your typical advertisement has 0.5 seconds in the Facebook feed to maybe 30 seconds if it's a pre-roll that gets actually watched. Versus influencer content, 3 minutes minimum to 30 minutes, it can be hours if you're on Twitch, like a 5-hour Twitch stream, no problem. So let's ask ourselves, who are these influencers? What makes an influencer an influencer? First thing is, and that should be fairly obvious, they're trusted. They're well regarded and looked up to by their peers in their community. Gamers, could be cooking channels, could be pet channels, but within that niche, they are very well regarded, they are followed and trusted. Another thing that makes influencers is that they are charismatic entertainers, which is very important for us in our business, because, for example, if you have a Minecraft guy and he's trusted and known for Minecraft stuff, but people only come to him for Minecraft content, now he plays your game, they will click your game away. So it's very important that their personality is a huge factor in there. People come for the content, but also for the personality. And lastly, and that's the most obvious, they are very well connected, they are followed. They have thousands, hundred thousands to millions of fans. So when they speak out, when they produce content, it's seen. So a question we get asked a lot is, on which platforms should I focus when I do influencer marketing? The fairly obvious answer for games especially is you should focus on video platforms, Twitch and YouTube, because it's long-form content. It's the best way to get in front of your audience, to get your game in front of the audience for the first time, because you have minutes, hours of time to let your potential players see the game first. But we don't neglect the other networks. So Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever you have, whatever new social network will arise in the future, like we call that short form content, like a tweet, a Facebook post, is great to follow up. You first do the video, they see the game for a long time, and then you can push through with a tweet, a Facebook post to, hey, you remember I played that game yesterday? You can get it here, click the link now. So hopefully I got you in the mood of, influencer marketing seems to work, seems to be cool. How do I get started? So 2 things. Number 1, you need to understand influencers. And that's why we did the survey, just to get answers from the people themselves. It's great to stand on a podium here and talking about them, but we asked them. So, and the second thing is, after you know who you're talking with, what makes them tick, what makes them drive, what makes them consider your game, is identifying the right influencers for your game. So these are the 2 things I'm going to talk about in the future. Just time-wise, perfect. Okay, so we did an influencer survey. We asked the 7,500 influencers that we are in close contact with in our network, or we sent them the survey, and 542 of them answered, which I feel for a survey, nobody likes surveys, so that's a good rate, I guess. Those were influencers from 15 countries, and if you're asking, probably only a few of the small guys, nope. With influencers with over 100,000 following on their main channel. So that would be Twitch or YouTube, not combined, but their main channel has over 100,000 followers. 384 of those answered the survey. So quite big guys and quite decent sample size, I'd say. So and I'm just going to present a few things from that survey. It's a lot more. If you're interested in the full survey, we're currently working on creating a super awesome PDF. It's not finished yet, but you can get my contact details later, and I can send you the final survey when it's done. I'm just going to pick 4 key learnings from that for this talk. The first thing you need to know is this is their job. So 68% of them say, yes, YouTube, Twitch, being an influencer is my full-time job. They say, on average, they produce 26 videos per month, so that's almost a video per day, or a live stream per day. They say, on average, 5.3 hours of work time go into that stream or video production, which makes up for a 34.45 work week, which you might think, I work 60 hours a week. That's not, that's a cheap lifestyle. No, that's just producing the content, right? So they still need to post it out, interact with their fans, consider new games, etc. So it's a full-time job, believe me. So second question is, 10 minutes, okay. What are you competing against? When you reach out to an influencer and propose, hey, do you want to play my game? What are you competing against? So on average, an influencer in the survey gets 19.5 business inquiry requests per month. So 19.5 other games that want to be featured. How many does he or she take from those 19.5? 2. So 17.5 tossed out of the window. And if we look at, this is like the complete average. If we look at the big guys with over 800K following on their main channel, it's 50 on average. Same, 2 only get taken on average. So a lot of competition. So the question is, what decides whether they take your offer, whether they play your game on their channel? And we had like multiple choice, and we used a rating scale from 1 to 5, like how much does this affect your choice? 1 being the lowest, 5 the highest, and we created like a acceptance percentage score. So the lowest, least important for them is if they get in-game features. For example, like voice a character of a game, a character named after me, some kind of involvement in the game creation process. So not the most important. More important is, I have to read closely, Extras like trips to events, like giveaways for their fans. If you give keys or some prize, a PlayStation Pro, for example, that might push them over the line of taking your deal. What is more important than extras? The price. That should be fairly obvious. It's important what you pay them to consider, but it's by far not the most important. So what is more important than the price when they consider a deal? 77%, not of them, but the percentage of acceptance is a good relationship with the other side of the contract, basically. So have a good relationship, a trust relationship with the influencer will help you get that deal done, basically. What's more important, and that should be obvious, the quality of the game. It's really, and people often come to us like, hey, can you give us influencers that play your game? And our first thing is, we're gonna play the game first before I give you an answer to that. Because if your game is shit, you're gonna have a hard time finding influencers for it. But what is even more important than the quality of the game and the price? Most important thing is whether the game fits their channel or their audience. So even more, they personally like the game, but they feel it doesn't fit their audience, their channel, they might not consider doing it. Okay, because I know a lot of people of you like numbers and money, and pricing is a very important thing in this business. We asked them as well, what's the preferred payment model and what kind of payment model do you guys want to work with? That shouldn't be a shocker. CPI, which we all love, only paying for installs, they don't love as much because they feel they have like the most risk in that deal. You only pay them through a trackable install through a tracking link. They don't like it as much. 26% acceptance rate. What do they like more? We have found a, let's call it middle ground, a CPM model where we basically pay based on reach views generated through the content. It's kind of the middle ground. You get a guarantee, like you only pay for what you get, but it's something they can directly control, like how much reach views does my content get. So a CPM model is more accepted, and that shouldn't be a shocker as well. A fixed price model has the highest acceptance rate. Like you pay up front, they tell you a video will cost you X, and you don't really know what you get. Like if you have experience with the guy, you probably know how he will perform. If you don't, it's a black box. So what we've experimented in the past is translating between these models. You might pay CPI, we might do fixed prices to influencer because we might have that data. But if you are more interested into payment, maybe talk to me later. But that's just what the influencers told us. Okay, so let's summarize survey learnings from the survey. Number one, should be obvious, make a good game. If you want to work with influencers, make a good game. Number two, find a payment model that works for you and the influencer. Maybe find a middle ground that works for both sides. Number three, maybe don't look just at the biggest guys, look at untapped potential. We just showed the biggest guys get the most offers, so they still just select the same amount of deals than the small guys. So going for the small guys, you will have a lot less competition. Then make your offer stand out, make it special. Like you're competing against other offers, put something special in, invite them to a trip, do some cool stuff, make a giveaway happen, something. Just make your offer special, not just be, hey, do you want to play my game, I pay you. That might not push it over the line. Professional, be professional. 5 minutes, okay. Yeah, be professional. It's their full-time job, and they get a lot of inquiries. You're not talking to your internet star. You're not talking to a small kid. This is their job. It's your job. Be professional in your approach, and yeah, you'll have a good time with the influencer. And lastly, and most importantly, and we didn't talk about it yet really, but we're going to get there next, pick the right influencers for your game. So you might do all the other stuff, and they might do your deal then, but if you pick the wrong influencer, the results might not be good because it just didn't match. So let's talk about picking the right influencer. Identify the right influencer for your game. How do you do that? What do you need to consider? Number one, what type of channel do I want to work with? Typical would be a gaming channel playing a game. Makes sense. But you might have a match-3 game. It has a very female demographic. Those gaming channels most of the time don't reach that very female demographic. Maybe consider a bakery YouTube channel, somebody doing awesome pies, and have her do these are my top 5 apps on my iPhone currently that help me get through traffic jams, stuff like that. So think outside the box, what kind of channel works for you and your game. Then, of course, and that's tied into the type of channel, audience demographics. Who does this channel reach? Does it reach the people in the country you're aiming for, in the age bracket, the gender? Do they reach the right guys or girls? Then, of course, and we talked about this, the game preference. Do they have a track record of playing the kind of game you have to offer? That's very important for acceptance. Something we look at very closely, and you should too if you want to do influencer campaigns, is engagement rates. Like, it's great that he might get a lot of views, but engagement really tells you if he has an engaged fan base. Like, will these people follow him around, do what he or she tells them to? That's very important, because if he tells them to click the tracking link, you want them to click the tracking link. And engagement is a great indicator if they will do that. Professionalism. Is that influencer, I'm planning my marketing campaign with professional. Will he deliver on time? You are planning a global launch at a specific date, and he might tell you one day before, oh, sorry, I'm on a holiday right now, can't get the video done. And you spend 200,000 on that marketing campaign, and you are getting told the video is gonna be 2 weeks late. Not so good. Is that guy professional? Will he deliver? Very important. And lastly, and that's basically the gold in influencer marketing, do you have previous campaign performance knowledge? Do you know how this guy will perform on a similar game or exactly your game? If you have that data, that's gold, because you know conversion from view to click to install, and it's probably he will get similar or even better results the next time. So you might ask yourself, these are a lot of inputs, but help, I have no idea, where should I get that information? Like, that information is not publicly available. Nobody will tell me conversion rates of an influencer video. What's the conversion rate from PewDiePie's video view to an install? Do I know? No, probably not. So brace yourself. The sales pitch is coming, but it's only one slide. So I'm going to tell you a bit of game influencer. We can help you, huh? Obvious. We have an influencer database where we basically store all information of all our influencers and can pull from that database. And based on that data, we can create so-called lookalike audiences based on viewership, engagement and reach, game preferences, and previous campaign performance. So you give us your game, we input it in a database, we come up with a short list of guys, like these guys will probably like your game and they will work well for you and in your game and the campaign. And because we're so certain about our data and our knowledge about influencers, we can give you guaranteed KPIs. So we won't just give you like, please give us this money and there will be some videos, but we can guarantee you views, installs, depending on the campaign setup. Yeah, that's it basically. Thank you for your time. And also thank you for the guys that already trust and work with us. And yeah, now's the time to ask questions.
I wanted to ask about tracking. Did you speak about that?
Yeah, well, I mentioned tracking links a few times. Yes, we do tracking.
Well, maybe you can just, sorry? Huh?
Evolve
that a little. I mean, what kind of tracking systems do you use? Would you, if you don't have any, what can you recommend? What are the possibilities of tracking? I mean, because not all people will click on a tracking link. How many will? How many can we expect to track?
Great question. So we do tracking links, especially when we do mobile games. We do other console and PC games as well. It's a lot harder there. But for mobile, we create smart links. So we have one link. It will direct you to iOS or Google Play Store, basically, on the device you use. And it will track that, generate that through our platform. We have done like dedicated studies where we worked on a specific market where no other marketing was taking place. For example, France, we did a test case in France. What we did is, and we compared the installs over the time frame of the campaign to Germany. Germany has an even bigger population, so there will be more organic installs in that time frame probably. We subtracted the German installs, and then we just looked at the peak, the spike in installs that happened around and after the release of the video. And so we see that result basically across all the campaigns we do. About half of the spike will correlate with will be matched with the tracked installs, and there's basically the same amount on top untracked, which we then can directly relate to our campaign. which can be explained by two things. One, still over half of the traffic on a video will normally be on a desktop or smart TV, so those clicks can never convert. On the other side, if you have ever used YouTube on your mobile, find it super hard to go to the comments. You have to turn it from this to this way, you have to click more, you have to scroll down, you have to click. So it's a lot easier than just hit the home button, go to the App Store or Google and Google the game. So that's how we explain that basically doubling of tracked installs. It has been a lot more, but it's a safe estimate to say double will be what we track.
I mean, how closely do you track the individual industries that each of these game influencers are involved in? Because obviously people look to influencers for areas, you know, they're within their specialty, right? So if it's a casino game or it's a shooter game or whatever, do you real closely track their audience and what they're interested in?
So basically, through YouTube, for example, we get very good demographic data on age, sex, location, and just the interest field we basically determine by content. So if a guy plays a lot of shooters, you know you're well placed with a shooter game. Like casino games, to be honest, it's a little bit harder to find a channel anyway. We work a lot with like workarounds there. It could be giveaways, promotions, shout outs at the beginning, because let's be honest, a lot of casino games won't make for a great 10-minute video playing the game, right? It's turn the wheel, turn the wheel, turn the wheel. Not that great. So we do tie-ins there, and yeah. It really depends on the channel specifically to work out a video brief that works for that channel. And like those guys we work with, they have built up that huge following, that huge audience, and they didn't get it by chance. So they know what works, and we just give them a few extras, like to brief them how to get that conversion, because they make the great content. We just implement a few call to actions at specific timings that really helps to get the needle across, basically.
Very cool.
Hi.
Hi.
One question, you said that follow-up videos, second videos, can work really good if we have like great results on first video, and even better than first video. That's kind of strange for me, because usually we get, even if first video is really good, less views, less conversions, less installs and everything on second video. I mean, we still can have good results, but not that good as on first video.
So the question, just to repeat the question.
Yeah, so the question is, can you tell me about that? Like when you said follow-up videos, second videos can have better results than first one.
Did I say
Do you have, I think you said that.
Like,
yeah.
Like, to be honest, I agree with you that over a longer period of time, the impact of videos or content created by what I said is that we normally do a first content with a video and then do short form content like a tweet or a Facebook post, which will then get the needle across or the install done, basically. So yes, the effect if you do a long video series will naturally decrease, because the first time they get engaged with the game in the first video, a lot of people will then get the game. Additional videos might help to get the message across and convince them finally. But yes, ideally one video and follow up social post, short form content. So not you can do multiple videos, but the greater effect one video and then social media posts, which are easy to produce for the video. It's just a tweet, right? It takes them 2 minutes compared to a video which said 5.3 hours on average. So that's what I meant by that.
Okay, thanks. And just one additional question, like, I guess that you say that it's sponsored video in every influencer video. Does influencer says that? Or
Yes.
is it written in description of video?
We do both, and we ask them to do both, because it's just law is catching up to influencer marketing, and you see a lot of rulings in that regard that it has to be disclosed. And yes, we make it part of the contracts to disclose it in the description and verbally, because only description doesn't work in the US, for example. But the thing is, we have proven in the past that if you do it right, disclosing can even help the conversion. Because basically, if you phrase it not like, I'm getting paid by these scumbags, but if you're like, hey, this feature helps me support my lifestyle, my channel, these guys are really awesome, this helps me pay my rent, then suddenly it's seen as something positive. So it's all how you shine the light on that sponsorship.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.